Hey, I'm Christi Friesen, and I'm an artist from the United States. At the moment, I live in Maui, Hawaii, and I am here in the studio in Mulranny with the Mulranny Arts Center and the lovely Cheryl, who has made this artist in residency possible for people like me to come over here and be enthused and inspired by everything about this place to create a bunch of stuff, which I'm going to show you in a minute. But first, just a little bit about being here. So I've got this lovely cottage to myself. I come down here to the studio and I've got access to lots of tables and lots of places to put all of my materials and quiet and plenty of space to do my stuff, which is what I've been doing. I've been exploring mythical concepts, and I'm going to show you what I've been making, and just letting the work just dictate the pace, which has been fun. And then afterwards, I'll figure out what to do with it. Would you like to come and see what I've done? This is kind of my favorite things to do. So these are all, I call them mosaic assemblages. But what I do is I start off with polymer clay. So this is a little polymer clay creature. And she was inspired because I found this shark egg case among Cheryl's wonderful natural excitements, and talked her into letting me steal it. And then I have put some coating on this to make sure it's protected, and then tucked this little polymer clay creature in. Now she's called, or this whole piece is called The Last Daughter of Atlantis. I don't know her story yet, so that has been fun. Speaking of nautical themes, I've also got to play this one right here. This is, I've got to play with some encaustic. There's an artist here in the Essence of Mulranny, which is connected to the center, and she does encaustic work. So we decided to experiment a bit with three-dimensional encaustic. So this is made with epoxy scope, which is a kind of epoxy clay, and then encaustic on top. And then I thought it needed some kind of really fun frame, which is what all that mosaic is. Then this is the same kind of thing where I've done something with my polymer, which is an oven dried clay that comes in color and is easily sculpted. And I use a lot of chalk, pastel chalks on top, and then added mosaic of all this sort of mycelium, like the network of the forest. This person has tapped into all of the underground talkings between mushroom and plants. And it's on an old book cover. This is just a little laughing, happy guy. He's balancing all kinds of limpet shells, which are from the beaches here, and with just a little bit of this lovely glass that Cheryl, who is the visionary behind all of this fun stuff, creates, and I was able to kind of persuade her to let me use a few little bits and pieces in this little guy. And now her. I don't know her story yet. Some of these tell me their stories. Others I have to wait to see. But lovely shell, which was the inspiration. And I was just in this face-making mood, making these mythic creatures. And as you can see, I've used all of these little winkle shells here from the sands here on the beaches, as well as more glass from Cheryl's, a piece of bronze that I created, and other bits and pieces. And then this is mounted on a 24-karat gold leaf applied to a wooden canvas. And right up here, since we're in the neighborhood, these are just some little forest sprites, some nature spirits. And I made an assortment of these that are sort of oceany and foresty and, you know, aquatic, just to put all around the place and photograph. So we went to the beach one day and photographed some. I went to the little Laughing Waters stream and photographed them, and in the trees and stuff. So that was just a lot of fun to do that. Here's another of my mosaic assemblages. This is sort of a puck character. And once again, Cheryl procured some sheep's wool for me that was just from a recent shearing. And I've combined that with some of these glacial rocks and opals that I brought with me and a fossil I brought with me, just to make this sort of puck who's balancing the two halves of his nature. I haven't got his full story, but part of him is in the puck family, which is just wild, free sensuality, but the other part of him wants to just make stuff and doesn't really like all that fuss. This is just a handful of polymer clay pieces that I've made for some of my people that support me back at home, based on this little shamrock carving I saw when I was in Dublin. And likewise, all these guys are little glow-in-the-dark creatures. Each one of them is holding something from Mulranny, a little piece of heather root or a shell or a rock. And I'm using that sheep's wool just to make them really kind of fun. And those will go for my people when I get back home that have been supporting me on my journey here. And then these are just a few things that I've played with for a workshop that I taught here. And I had a go at an engraving tool that I just got that could carve onto slate, which was really fun. And these are all made out of polymer and added again that same mosaic, which I love. And then this is the last one of the mosaics that I've done. She is concerned about something. I don't know exactly what it is, and she feels rather queenly to me. In an old-fashioned sort of way, I don't know. So this is a piece of bronze clay that I did with another artist that was here who let me kind of play with the material. And then this is all kinds of little bits of beads and fragments of glass and pearls and such. All right, so I segued in not just three-dimensional creating, but also, you know, some kind of painting, drawing stuff. I just had a blast with this. So all of these are little pukas. And puka, according to Irish legend, to the best of my knowledge, is sort of a sometimes malicious, sometimes mischievous, sometimes helpful a being, and is a shapeshifter. So you never really know what a puka looks like. And what I envisioned was, this is what a puka looks like when it's just hanging out in its own skin. And what all of these have in common is a clump of the sheep's wool. So I took the sheep's wool, I put it in Pavrapol to clump it together and preserve it so that it's now encased in something to keep it, you know, long lasting, and then use an Irish newspaper to create the rest of the body with watercolors and not watercolors, but acrylics and things like that, just for fun. But I thought they turned out really neat. And then finally, as I'm winding down with my month here, what I've done is I've just done a little bit of drawing and painting. So right here is just a bunch of different things that I've been working on as I wind down. And it's just taking a little bit of watercolor effect using acrylics and a bit of gold slashed down in there, a little bit of Irish newspaper. And then I draw little creatures on there with an archival pen. And then I go back with my colored pencils and color each one in. And I imagine these to be just little nature spirits, because again, I'm in that mythic sort of feel. That's where my brain is. That has been my month here as an artist in residence at wonderful Mulranny Art Center.